Today's video may be a long video. I thought this was an interesting conversation and I wanted to play it and get my reactions to it. If you guys want to see more videos on this type of topic, let me know in the comments down below. I try to get those down for you. All right, let's get into it.
Point, which is we need to revive the ideals that the nation was actually founded on and do a better job of aspiring to them.
And we have Tezlyn Figaro. I'm sure Tezlyn has some questions. Tez, you good?
Yes, I do. So I've heard a lot of, what you think and your vision, and I'm a very practical person, and I want to kind of, opposed to talking about your opponents, let's talk about you for a moment, and let's actually talk about your policy. Explain to me your position on this civic duty voting.
Sure. So my position is, I think that every kid who graduates from high school should know the minimums about the country that we require an immigrant to know about the country in order to become a citizen. So there's a test. My mom had to pass it. Every immigrant has to pass it to this country that asks you some basic questions. What are the three branches of government? What branch of government does the U.S. president lead? Some basic questions about what is the Bill of Rights.
If I'm being honest, I think we learned this stuff like in civics, and I want to say this was middle school. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say today I know all of this stuff, but I knew enough to pass that course when it was taken back in 8th grade. I'm 30 years old. I'm old now. I don't know, but I don't see anything wrong with that.
It's like a multiple choice exam, or some of them you write in. I think that if we're going to ask immigrants to pass that test, as we should, I think every 18-year-old who graduates from high school should have to pass that as well, because young people, it goes back to that issue of pride. You don't value a country that you don't know something about. You don't value something you inherit. You value something you have a stake in creating, in building, or knowing something about.
That's facts.
So how do we think big about this?
Actually, I didn't even know immigrants had to take a civics test. But it makes sense, because if you're coming to this country, you need to know what kind of country you're coming into. I feel that anything that you work hard for, you cherish. Anything you have ownership in, you have pride in representing. Now, there's a lot of reasons why people of color may not be so prideful of, to represent America. There's a lot of messed up stuff that goes on, against people of color. So I get that aspect of it. But when you're thinking of a global perspective, I would rather be from America than any other place in the world. So I do have that kind of pride, yes. Am I riding around with American flags in my car, or no? 4th of July, am I dressing up in red, white, and blue? No, I'm not. So, but I get what he's trying to say. And he's actually correct in what he's saying, because other countries have that same pride for their country.
Well, young people, as I told you, most of them, very few of them vote. As it stands today, super small numbers, and apparently 60% of them say they would rather give up their right to vote than give up TikTok. Well, I say, all right, let's take that to the next level. How about we do something that raises the voting age from 18 to 25, but you still get to vote at 18 if you just pass that same civics test that an immigrant has to pass in order to vote. And tests aren't for everybody. And
it shouldn't even be a problem to pass that test, because if you're going to pass civics in school or government or whatever course may be, I don't know what the subjects are called where you guys are from, but if you're going to pass that course where you're talking about American history, U.S. history, civics, or whatever the case may be, then okay, to vote, you should already know this stuff. So that's an easy A. What's the fuss about with that? Because you have to take a small test. And then honestly, I get the whole thing of people saying that voting is a right and not a privilege. I kind of like, it is a privilege to vote. A lot of countries don't have that privilege or that right, whatever the case may be, to vote. A lot of women still in this world can't vote in other countries. So I get that perspective of knowing what you're voting for, knowing the process, knowing even just the different classes of what you're voting for. Your city council, your governor, your mayor, those different levels, and not just president, the president election. Because a lot of people just sit around and don't do no kind of voting in their city, in their state, and they wait for the presidential debate, and then they just pick off of who they think they know something about, not knowing it starts from the community. All that stuff starts from community. So if you don't instill that into a kid early, and teach them about that early, or make that feel important to them early, then no, they're not going to take it serious, and they're just going to be as gullible as we always been as Democrats too. Well, I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a Republican. I'm not anybody. I'm for who I feel have the best interest for me. And my interest may be different from anybody else's interest. I don't fall so easy for the manipulation that a lot of different politicians play on. They play on your heartstrings. I'm not with all that. Let's see what you really do out here. So I agree with him at that point. I do feel it should be somewhat of some knowledge about what you're voting for.
So be it. Then you at least serve in the military or a first responder role for 6 months. That's my civic duty voting proposal. And the reason is, I'll actually make a prediction. I think youth voting in this country will skyrocket. From a very low level right now, it will skyrocket because you value something you actually have to earn.
It makes sense.
And I think that this is not a left-wing or right-wing point. We all have duties as citizens, right? You know, we aspire to free market capitalism, right? Materialist advance. And that's the life I've lived as well, by the way. My parents came to this country with not a lot of money. I've lived the American dream. I've made a lot of money by building businesses. That's one side of what it means to be an American. But part of it is we also have duties to this country. And I think the more we wake that up, actually, the voting age only became 18 in 1971 in the context of the Vietnam draft. So I just think reviving those ideas is going to be good for us.
And that's not that long ago. That's really not that long ago to where people were able to vote at 18.
All right, so let's prove your point. Nick, our camera guy, do you know the 3 branches of the federal government?
Over 24, so it don't matter.
But I'm just saying, but nobody knows there are 24. Red, do you know the 3 branches?
Executive.
And see, that's the problem. You sat right there and proved that man point. As grown men sitting in the studio, you don't even know the 3 branches of government. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say that I know, but that proves what he's trying to say. For the next generation, we're done for. We good. We out of here. But for that next generation that has to come in, they have to be better than us. So let's prepare them and get them prepped early so they don't make the same mistakes that we make. That's all this man's really saying.
Yeah.
Well, I got a test. I would like to see if you're willing to pass, because I believe
this is the Tezlyn lady that I saw the clip on. So I had to I had to go a little further back to see why this came to what it came to, because I was wondering what was the reason for the line of questioning that I saw in the clip earlier on Twitter or whatever. But now I can see what she's saying.
And just as you believe in civic engagement, I believe in changing the ideas of what political opponents look like, what they should look like, our political candidates. Are you willing to take a test with me quickly? Because I just have a couple of questions for you.
I will, absolutely. And the way this is opening up, I have a feeling I'm about to fail it, but that's good. Let's do it.
That's right, yeah. Just for clarity, I am an independent. I'm not a Democrat or a Republican. Cool. I think that's important for the premise of the argument, because I know you did a lot of debating at Harvard. I also want to make it clear these are the same questions that I asked liberal Democrat Marianne Williamson. So I want to make sure that we put that out there as well, just to kind of set the foundation for the test.
I'm open to being humbled. Let's do this.
Okay, great. Let's go. So you mentioned, the pride of being an American and how important it is to have pride in this country. I'm also a veteran, by the way, for the United States Air Force. So when is it that you voted for the first time?
I voted in 2020.
Okay, so you're how old again?
I'm 37 years old.
So for how many years you sat around and did not get involved at all in any civic engagement? Is that my understanding?
A long time is the answer. And actually, that's what I wrote this book about. I'm not holding myself out as some sort of model. I'm actually offering myself as a self-reflection of my journey as a citizen to whom this country has given much, right? As an adult, when you have kids, it changes your perspectives. I'm very honest about that.
And honestly, why does that even matter? Okay, so the first time he voted was 2020. So what? Just because you have the right to vote doesn't make it's not mandatory that you vote. It's not mandatory for anybody that votes. So the fact that he didn't vote until 2020, so okay, he has his right to exercise or not his voting rights. That's clearly his right, and we can't judge him for his right. Now, I've been voting ever since I was able to vote because I thought it was a cool thing. But I can honestly tell you that I didn't start paying attention to politics until Donald Trump was elected. I voted for Barack, just like every other black person did, because he's a black brother. I can honestly tell you I didn't really know much about him, but I started to do my research once they elected Donald Trump. And when Biden got elected, most people voted for Biden because they was ready to get Trump out of there, not knowing that Biden ain't doing shit for us neither. He has his right to vote or not. We shouldn't hold that against him. You can't hold that against him. And that proves nothing. I totally understand when he says he's had kids and his perspective has changed. Now he has to look at the future of his kids. Like I said, we about done for. You got to make sure you're setting the kids up better than we were when we was coming up. He's allowed to grow and have a different perspective for his family. He's allowed that. You can't take that from him. You can't judge him for that. And you can't hold it against him for it.
Absolutely.
Okay, no problem. So let's go deeper into the self-reflection. So you've sat around for, and sir, I'm being as respectful as I possibly can. Please don't take anything
and you don't even have to be.
And see, to me, that's a sign of disrespect already. You're prepping the disrespect because you shouldn't have no reason to have to say that. It's pointless. Already you coming in disingenuous. To me, that's what it sounds like. You are actually coming into the situation disingenuous from the gate. You're not giving this man a fair shot. And I'm going to go back and watch that interview she said she had with that lady to see if she had that same smoke for that lady like she do for this man. And as a veteran, as she said she was a veteran, you should be okay. You should be all for him saying or him trying to put in policy that people who vote should know about the government they're voting for. You should be for that.
And you don't even have to be. So take it off and let's go.
So you've been sitting around in the country that my ancestors built for about 20 years. Your parents came over as immigrants, brought you over. You made millions, according to your resume, off of this country, and you have absolutely not been involved in civics. One, not voting, and two, let me just ask, because I know you mentioned earlier you don't want to sit around at the debate and talk about accomplishments. Let's make the accomplishments pretty simple. In high school, were you ever a class president or take any leadership role? Because your opponent did, Chris Christie. He was the class president. So have you ever taken any leadership at all?
Yo, as adults, why are we talking about middle school, high school? Why are we talking about class presidents of school? What does that have to do with him running for president now? This man's a millionaire. This man has businesses. He has to be somewhat of a leader. If this is the angle she's hitting at. He has to be somewhat of a great leader to be able to run a company, to make millions, and to be able to help people in this world. Like, what are you saying? These questions are irrelevant. You got this man in your studio, and these are the questions you asking this man?
Hold on, anything or just...
Can I just correct a couple factual things
Sure,
that are kind of important? My parents didn't bring me over to the country. I was born in this country, and I'm proud of that.
No, I know you were born here in Ohio.
Yeah.
Ohio.
You mentioned my parents.
I'm saying your parents were immigrants. My apologies.
And that's all right. You said your parents brought you over to this country. I thought I would set that record straight.
I mean, they were immigrants, but let's not go down the water hole.
No, we're not going to water hole. I just want to correct a couple facts. And then the other thing is...
You were born here in Ohio.
I was...
Now, see, that's the thing. I'm the type of person, I like to deal with facts. Everything I've heard from this man so far, this man is dealing with facts. And once again, we got someone up here who's just speaking from pure emotion. She's trying to make it seem like she's coming from a place of, I'm just questioning, make sure you the right fit. You already know in your mind and your heart that you're not voting for this man. Doesn't matter what he say up here right now. You already got it fixed on that this guy right here is not the guy you're voting for. My thing is, why even waste your time? Whatever your situation, whatever your reason is that you don't vote for this man, address that. Because I know being a class president isn't a deal breaker for you to not be able to vote for this man. That's kitty. Like, or any other presidents, class presidents, or on student council boards, or when has that been a requirement to be the president? Even to run for president, there's no requirement to run for president that you have to have taken some other office before. Donald Trump never held a position in government before, and he went straight to the presidency. Some may say he bought it, some may say he cheated to get in. Whatever the reason, I don't know. I don't care. He went from a regular pedestrian to the president of the United States, and nobody in that house told him, hey, you got to be a governor first. You got to be a mayor first. You got to be a city councilman first. You got to be a class president of your high school first. Nobody. These questions are irrelevant, man. What are we really talking about? She's speaking from pure emotion right now.
I was born in Cincinnati, Ohio. That's right.
Right. So you've been here your entire life. So the question is, did you take any leadership role in middle school, high school, class president?
I did.
I know you played tennis. What is it? Explain it to us.
Student council. But, I think that this is yes, I have held leadership roles over my life, but those don't qualify me to do what I'm doing now.
Yeah, it kind of does. Okay, it kind of does. I'm giving the test. I'm the test administrator.
All right, there you go.
So it kind of does, because when you go from saying I want to go to the highest office,
and I'll tell you, I've led companies as well. Is the other leader? Right, the main leadership role I've played is and I want to talk about one early part of your premise that I also want to say, to bring it to the country point. The other point, you use the word sitting around. I'm not somebody who's saying I want the next generation, my kids' generation, to have more civic duties when they graduate from high school and college than I did when I did. That being said, I wasn't sitting around.
Think about that, man. If you got more kids that's actually getting involved with community work, outreach work, or whatever the case may be, like say military, first responder, you won't have so many in the streets doing what they're doing. I agree with that, because then kids would be sitting around doing nothing. or doing some of the worst shit we ever seen. So yeah, you would want the generation next coming up to be able to, I'm not even saying it's a requirement, but it should be recommended. It should be a step of recommendation towards success to be able to give back to your community, make your community better. Do some first responder work. Get trained in CPR. Get trained as a first responder, so that when something goes down, you're certified for it. A good amount of folks are certified for it, that you can keep that person alive or whatever the case may be, stable until somebody show up. And that's the problem with our community. I'm speaking for black people. We don't think about that.
I've developed medicines, 5 of which are FDA approved products today. One of which is a life-saving therapy in kids, 20 of whom die by the age of 3 if they're not treated, 70% of whom now live lives of a normal duration. Another one for prostate cancer. So I don't apologize for making contributions. But
right, well, I don't want you to filibuster that,
no worries.
Because that's not...
But that's important, though. To me, that matters to me. That means you have a person who understands the needs of people. One day, somebody's going to need that medication for that prostate. One day, a kid is going to need that therapy that he had FDA approved. Those 5 drugs that he has FDA approved are helping people in this world. Being a student council or a high school class president, none of that helps now. You got people running for president that ain't helping at all in no kind of way today. Now you have someone who's live in the living color, who's put his money where his mouth is, who actually does the things that he said he does. Now, I don't know this man, but prior to me doing this video, I did a little research on this man. He seemed pretty legit to me. Not saying he got my vote, but he seemed pretty legit to me.
The question that I asked, and I don't consider as a veteran, I'm talking about service. I'm not talking about what you did for profit. Yeah. I'm not talking about what you paid people to do with your company.
So I've not served the country
because that means nothing to me.
But even still, that she just said she doesn't care about even who he paid to do these things. That shows you right there. That's a service. That's a civic service to me. The fact that you're employing people, you're providing jobs for people. That student president spot don't provide no jobs for nobody. Student council don't provide no jobs for nobody. This man is providing jobs for people. You as a veteran in the military, what have you provided? No more than grand the fact. Like I said, I thank you for your service. Much appreciated. Outside of your job of protecting the country through the Air Force, what else are you giving to the community? And she may be giving, I don't know. I'm not gonna say she's not giving, but I'm just saying. Like, name some things. This man names some things. You name some things.
You do what I'm talking. She hasn't been able to ask a question. She's been trying to ask a question, and you've been talking over it.
I'm all ears.
We gave you the platform to let you say.
I'm all ears. I'm all ears. No, I was just correcting a couple facts.
She hasn't had a chance to ask a question yet. Every time.
And see, me, this I can't fuck with Emmy, man. That's a corny ass nigga right there, man. Yo. And this is why I can't fuck with DJ Envy, man. He can do some corny shit more than he should be doing. Corny shit. This whole time this lady has been speaking, she asked this man what type of civil service has he done, whether even all the way back to just high school. Like, what are we talking about? I have no problem with him interrupting her because he's correcting her on his facts. No, he was not bought over here. He was born here. 2, what he does for a living is civil service. It may not be the civil service that you're looking for, because you're looking for a particular answer. You're looking for a particular trap for this man. We see it. Come on, man. These ain't really like questions that you really want to ask, that you really want to know. You probably already know the answers to these. It sounds like you want to bring him on this platform to pretty much try to humiliate him, try to damage his stock and whatever the race is right now. I don't know. And then you got this cornball ass nigga here talking something. Let her finish her. Dog, she ain't saying nothing. And that'd be my problem, because it be like, see, y'all need real niggas around y'all, man. This some corny shit right here, dog. I honestly feel like niggas is scared to correct women or put women in their place when they need to, whether it be on camera or social media, whatever the case may be. If she's wrong, she's wrong. Tell her to hurry and get to a fucking point. She ain't saying shit. But y'all gonna assume this man right here being defensive. Y'all gonna be defensive too when you try to make me seem like I'm an immigrant when I'm not. I was born here, dog.
She tried to ask a question. You've been cutting her off. Go ahead,
I'm all ears.
Right. So my question again is, you're trying to, your goal is to raise the standard, and you're saying you want people to believe in country and you want people to have civic engagement. Yeah. And sir, I just find it very telling that you haven't had any civic engagement at all and haven't been at all. And when I say sit around, I don't mean you haven't done anything. I'm talking about in regards to service, because one thing about political office, the same way that you want to change how people look at politics and look at this country, I want to change how people look at politicians. And when I see that someone hasn't did anything at all to be of service to mankind, to take a leadership role. It's not good enough to just be on city student council. Were you a leader? All of that applies. Have you been able to get anybody in the room at any time, from a high school gymnasium to Ohio, Republican leadership there to now? Have you been able to get anybody in a room to believe in this vision? I don't agree with a lot of your vision statement.
You ask the question and you talking. Let the man answer the fucking question. You're asking this man, has he ever had any leadership positions of service? Let the man answer the question. And then too, to be a good leader, you don't have like you know how many people that was actually good leaders that didn't become a class president? People who have good leadership qualities and skill, who were never on city councils, was never a school board member or nothing, was never a governor, was never a mayor. You trying to tell me that only the leaders hold those positions? I see leaders every day. But you're holding this man to the standard of because he okay, let the man answer the question though, dog.
But I do know you've been going around having these discussions and getting everybody emotionally worked up to talk about vision and debate. But I want to get to the practical. You're trying to go from preschool to president of the United States. You're skipping over city council, county council, mayor, governor. You want to go straight to the top. So my question is this a PR? Is this for the PR, the perception of reality? Or can you point to any leadership where you've been able to get people to believe in what you're talking about that they're not paid to do on any of these vision statements that you have? If not, then to me it's a moot point, because you're holding a standard that you haven't met yourself.
Now, what was the question in that? What was the question that? She just sounds mad. You sound fucking angry. There was no question in that. And if it was a question, I felt like you probably answered this question for him. Was it rhetorical? Because every time this man started to answer your question, you can't keep moving the goalposts. Ask your question and allow him to answer. Now, whether you like his answer or not, that's on you, but allow the man to answer. You can't keep moving the goalposts. Sounds like you mad. This sounds like a angry, bitter woman for whatever reason. Just because you're a veteran and you served doesn't make you higher or better than anybody else. Because that's the tone I'm really getting at. Because you served, you feel that you're more qualified than that man is.
So if you're only going to count government service, you're absolutely right.
No, not government service.
Okay.
Student council in the 8th grade, 9th grade, 10th. Were you a leader? Did you do anything to rally anybody? Did you fight for better lunch? I did in the 6th grade with Miss Harris.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about government. I can go all the way back from the 5th grade every year, sir, because people who are in service to this country, if you're going to go around saying you want people to believe in this country that I signed up to die for, then I want to make sure that you're holding that same standard. So not government, not political. Let's not get it confused. Yeah. I'm saying, have you did anything of service that we can point to say he is a good leader, like Chris? And I'm not even a fan of Chris Christie, but he was the student council president in high school. So have you done anything of service besides yourself that has not benefited yourself?
I just don't see the point of that question. I don't see the point of that question. That question is irrelevant and fucking stupid.
It's a simple question.
So the acts of service that I have performed are small, so small that I don't even want to talk about them to boast. But yes, have I volunteered for this country? Yes, I have. I've always been interested in healthcare.
It's okay to talk about the small things.
These are small things, right? But thank you.
Now, see, nobody tells her, yo, let him answer your question. Don't cut across him. This is why I say I can't fuck with niggas like them niggas, man. Because if you're trying to have a actual casual, calm discourse between two people, and you call yourselves, I don't even want to say if you call yourselves the mediator, but if you can tell this man to not interrupt her when she's talking, what's wrong with you telling her to stop interrupting him when he's answering your question?
Let's just mention
it. Really North Hospital.
So it's really a no?
No, it's not a no. It's just something I don't like boasting about. I volunteer.
We're not boasting. It's an interview. You're boasting on your vision and everything else. I think you boasted on the millions of dollars that you made. So let's just throw it out. So in 6th grade, I'll give you an example. I'll help you out. In 6th grade, Miss Harris was slapped. Let me give you an example because maybe you're confused. In the 6th grade, Miss Harris was snatching papers from everybody in the classroom. So me as a 10-year-old, I went to the principal and said, I'm tired of Miss Harris snatching papers. And I organized the students around getting Miss Harris to stop snatching papers. Now, there was a consequence for that. I got suspended for 5 days for talking back, and I got in trouble. I got a spanking, and I was on punishment for months and months. But that is a simple way of organizing people. So I want you to kind of boast about it the way you did the millions of dollars and said what you did with the pharmaceutical companies. What leadership can you point to that you've been able to rally anybody around anything that is of service that you did not pay anybody to do? I think that's important for the next president.
So basically, you told us a story how basically you was an insubordinate kid. You were a kid who didn't like authority. Or just because you were a kid who didn't like how someone took papers from you, you felt some need to go to a principal's office to complain about her. That's not leadership. That has nothing to do with leadership. To me, that sounds like someone who's basically a troubled child. That sounds like someone who's there to cause problems. Her snatching papers was that horrible to you that you had to go to the principal and complain and get other kids together to get in trouble. If not, that doesn't sound like a leader. Because for one, if you're a real leader, you wouldn't even have gathered any other kids to do that. You'd have done it on your own for the benefit of other kids. You wouldn't need kids to come back you to do something that you had a problem with. You sound like you're a person that you have issues with authority. That's how I see it.
United States.
Sure. So I've always been drawn to healthcare. That's why I ended up founding companies in that space. When I was in high school, part of what drew me into it was that I was a volunteer at a local hospital. I actually became the leader of that group of volunteers that actually discharged women who had recently given birth. That was it. Nothing big to it.
Did you do anything we can point to stand out?
But I want to say something about that because
here she go moving the goalposts. Anything that you can point out that made you stand out. Why? First of all, the fact that he even had to go that far back in his past to even give you that answer to satisfy you. Here you go again, moving the goalposts. Did you stand out? What difference do it fucking make?
As I say that in the book, if I'm being really honest, why did I do that in high school? A part of the motivation, I'll be just brutally honest with you, was part of the motivation was that's actually what allows you to get into a good college when you graduate.
Right,
you want
so
to check
it was
the box
about, so it was about you.
So there was
about self.
So there's that, and I'm admitting.
Once again, moving the goalposts. So it was about you. Okay, they're getting something out of it, and I'm getting something out of it. Seems like an even trade to me. I don't know too many people who do things out here nowadays for community that don't get anything in return, unless it's actually charity. But even with charity, you're getting something out of the deal.
Admitting that in a way that very few other people do, but I got to be honest about it. That was a big part of why I did it.
Yeah, it was about self, and I'm going to be honest, and I'm going to give it back to the guys. I'm going to be honest about it with you.
Yep.
Leadership is not about self.
I agree with you on that.
What I just heard.
That's a fucking lie. Leadership, not saying it has to be solely about you. But what's the point of being the leader if you can't benefit from the same goal that we all have? Five of us on a boat, and we're in the middle of the fucking ocean. And I'm leading these guys to row these boats, motivating them, pushing them. I'm even rowing myself to get to the island or to get to land. If we're rowing this boat to get to land and we actually reach land under my leadership, do I then turn around and go back and sit in the middle of the fucking ocean like a dud? No. The leadership got us to a goal that we wanted to achieve. The people under me benefit and I benefit as well. Nowhere in that analogy did I tell you that I'm sitting there and I'm not rowing at all. I'm just sitting here. Leadership is actually getting your hands dirty with the workers. The boss is always the first worker. This is simple. And no one said that being a leader, you can't benefit from being a leader. That's why everybody wants to be the boss. And people get it confused about being the boss and being a leader. People get it confused and think you don't have to do no work. No, the boss does the work. You may not have to do the work all the time, but if you're starting something fresh, something new, and to get people to believe in you, people believe in people who get their hands dirty too. I'm not working for no one who can't or won't do the same work that I'm doing.
What I just heard is that everything is about you. And to be honest with you, this is just a PR campaign, sir, to be honest with you. And I think you're trying to go further to the right because you want the Republicans to accept you as a man of color. And I think the only way you think you can do that is to be so extreme.
I appreciate your opinion.
With your positions. And I think you need to do a little bit more work in service. I'll give it back to you guys. You failed the test, by the way.
Because she did ask me a question. And
see, this is like he just said. Thank you for your opinion. That's how you feel. That's how they get us. They get us to get in these positions to be so emotional. There's no logic in anything she said for the last 10, 15 minutes. There was no logic in that. She had an agenda. She had a mission from the beginning when she first spoke. Her mission was to discredit everything this man said. All of this is based off her question of if you had any type of leadership position. Then she moved the goalpost of saying that was not self-serving. I'll tell you now, I might not be the best person for y'all because everything I do is going to serve me in some kind of way. I'll be stupid to think or to risk my life or to do the most, and I don't benefit in no kind of way from anything I'm doing. Everyone on this planet does things with self in mind sometimes. I want to say more than half of the time when we make moves, we making moves for ourselves as well as our family. We're not making moves just to please strangers, but it gives no results to us. I'm not doing anything I can't benefit from. I'm sorry, I'm not. Now, you talking about something as simple as someone's on the side of the road, their tire flat. If I got it, I'm gonna go help them. I don't need nothing for that. Okay, cool, that's cool. Her line of questioning was the stupidest line of question I ever heard in any type of interview ever. She wins that award for that.
And then you guys said you wanted to hear a response, but I think I heard an expression of opinion. So I just want to make sure you're all done before I respond to it.
Go ahead.
No, just wanted to say that even then, I would still want you to point out, even at the hospital, something that you did that made you stand out.
This dude said he fucking helped discharge women who just had babies. What are you talking about? Have you ever delivered or discharged anybody for having a child? No. I'm pretty sure no.
On when actually taking a leadership role, but you already answered it. You said you did it because it was a motivation to get in college.
Exactly,
which means it was about you. And I'm being very
honest about that.
And which is that's it's nothing wrong with that, because a lot of high schoolers have to do community service to get their diploma. It goes towards their credits. What are we talking about? Yes, I'm doing that for myself because I want my diploma. So if that means I got to go pick up trash to count as community service time, yeah, I don't want to go pick up trash for nothing. I don't want to go wash cars for nothing. I don't want to go feed the homeless for nothing. As a kid-minded, he wasn't thinking about X amount of years to now that, oh, shoot, maybe I should have thought that when I did that hospital gig, it should have been for them. No, he was trying to get his diploma and get out of school and go to the next level. That's what he set it for. It's the whole purpose.
That, but
everything has been about you. So as a veteran,
let me tell you something. I appreciate
it's very hard for me to follow leaders that make everything about them. So you might want to work on that because it's a lot of.
And I'm pretty sure she had leaders in the Air Force that didn't give a fuck about her, who did their job for them, and you followed them. You had to. You had to follow your lieutenants, captains, whoever. You had to follow them in the Air Force. And they didn't care about you. They not there just handling you just because they want to. No, they're in it for whatever reason they're in it for too. They're in it for self as well as protecting country. I know a lot of people who went to the military didn't give a damn about the country. They just go for the check. Let's not act like that don't exist.
Veterans and Republicans. So you might want to work on that talking point and maybe do some volunteering while you're on the campaign trail. I'm going to give it back to Charlamagne and Envy.
Yeah. Once I want to be respectful. Want to make sure you got everything you wanted to on the table before I respond to that.
If this was just us, it'd be a lot more.
You guys tell me. I'm the guest on your show. You tell me when I'm good to speak.
They got a hardware
sure about that?
Guests,
we're good.
Yeah, we're sure.
So I think there's a different worldview that we have. And I think the worldview is how one actually makes contributions in a country. I do not believe that there's a separate category of just if you're serving the country and then if you're acting in self-interest, that's somehow sinful or wrong. I reject that vision. To the contrary, I think capitalism is the best system known to man to lift people up from poverty.
Facts.
I deeply respect and I thank you for your service to this country. I'm grateful for it. I haven't served the country in the way that you have. But I think that the way you get ahead in capitalism, how did I develop a multi-billion-dollar biotech company? It was by developing medicines that save people's lives.
A lot of people say capitalism causes poverty.
Yeah, I disagree with that.
Okay.
I disagree with that. I think that capitalism demands that you provide something to someone that helps them more than you're actually charging them for it.
Facts.
That's the only way.
That's
the
a
tried
business
and true
model,
way
sir. That's not
a business
service.
model.
It is a business model.
That's not service.
I'm saying it's having an impact on society.
An elected official is service. That's the disconnect.
That's right. So now I'm moving on to there are phases of our lives where we do different things.
Well, you're moving straight all the way up to President of the United States.
You know, I don't view it as a hierarchy. I don't view it as a hierarchy. I don't believe in hierarchies. The hierarchy is the way the bureaucracy works. I don't believe in so we have a difference in opinion.
You also don't believe in service, and that's where we're having a disconnect.
Well, I disagree with you on that. I just disagree with you on that.
I think it's whack that you're proposing to revoke voting rights.
And see, that's the problem. This is the only thing that it bothers me a lot. This is the strongest point that bothers me when conversations like this come. People just don't understand that sometimes we just have two different opinions, and that's totally fine. There's nothing wrong with you believing the things that you want to believe in, and I'm believing the things I want to believe in. The fact of the matter is the difference between your opinion and my opinion, there's somewhere in between, they're facts. And wherever that leans towards, people really have the issue with a person who's leaning more towards facts than opinions. I don't base how I move out here off of how I feel. And that's the problem. And I hate women, ladies, I'm sorry. I hate that some women are like that. The way they talk, the way they move, the decisions they make are based off how they feel. It's as simple as logic versus emotions. And a lot of time, if people would just put their emotions to the side, put what they think to the side, have the conversation to learn or to interpret what a person is saying versus just sitting there trying to respond or rebuttal. It's y'all, I mean, dog, conversations like this get me a little heated because I'm all for listening to a person and their perspective because we all come from different perspectives of life. We all come from different walks of life. All of us. Some of us are similar to others and some of us are way different than others. And I'm fine with that. I'm fine that I'm okay knowing that everyone I come in contact with would not agree with 100% everything I say. That's cool. When people leave me comments on videos and they don't agree with it, that's cool. Thank you for watching. Thank you for commenting. Sometimes their comments change my perspective or give me a different view on the perspective. And sometimes I do the same for them. But this is like one of those cases where this, to me, stuff like this set black women back. Because it's already a stigma out here about black women, how they're so combative and so aggressively speaking to, they don't listen to, understand, they just listen to respond. I hate that stigma is out about black women because that's not all black women. But it always seems to be those type of black women that get the spotlight. Right now, what she just did to me, if I was a black woman I would feel embarrassed. Even just me as a black man, I felt embarrassed by that whole little dialogue that she just had. She just sat here for 10, 15, 20 minutes having a conversation or having a line of questioning that made no sense to anything that is of relevance. And then you got two other black guys. And I understand the whole protect black women, but part of protecting black women is letting black women know when they're wrong. A lot of times we got to protect black women for themselves. If you let them run wild like this, they leave themselves open for embarrassment. And then every black woman gets labeled mad, angry, bitter, combative, unsubmissive, hard to talk to. And then they'll put it back on us and say that we're insecure and we're intimidated by their ignorance, their stubbornness. It doesn't make sense. I'm not even going no more further in this video. I don't see anything that he said that was wrong in this video. I'm glad I saw this video because it gave me more insight on how this guy thinks. There was also a woman that I was looking at just recently. I can't remember her name, but she's an older white woman. I like her too. If y'all know her name, put her name down in the comments. But I want to see that interview that Tezlyn did with that woman to see if she had that same energy for that woman, if she had that same line of questioning for that woman. You guys, if you watched this far in this video, I thank you. I don't have anything else. I can't keep sitting listening to this nonsense because you made yourself like a pure fool. But to each his own. We all have our own opinions. Some of you may agree with her. I know I don't. I'm actually agreeing with what he's saying in this video. So I'm gonna do my research more on him and see what he's really about, as well as other candidates. So if you got any other candidates you guys want me to review on any interviews, I'll do it, because I feel like we got to get this right this time around with this election. We got to get it right. We got to start doing our homework on these people. But that's all I got for this video. You guys like this video, you guys know what to do. And if that's all, you guys stay cool, stay safe, love yourself, love each other. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.